So in this video, we are going to see about data type. Okay, so by basically we know what is data type is. So data type is something which is going to define size, range, and operations to be performed on a data. So now the thing is, we are going to see the different types of data. Okay, so let us start with, there are three different types of data. Okay, in C programming. So let's say types of data. So the first one is primitive, or we can say it as basic data types. Okay, primitive or basic data type. And second one, we have something called as derived data types. And third one, we have something called as user defined data types. Okay, so let us come to this primitive data types. Primitive data type is something called as a very basic data types, which is already defined inside your C compiler. Okay, so so in primitive data type, we have five different data types. Okay, we have five different data types in primitive. So the first one is, we will call it as integer, and when we are defining integer, we will define it as int, and the size of integer is going to be 4 bytes. Okay, and the range of integer going to be from minus to 147 483648. It is 483648 to plus to 147 483647. So this is the range of data what we can store in integer data type. So second one, we have it as character. So we have something called as character, right? When we are defining, we will say it as char, and char is going to carry 1 byte, and range of character is going to be from minus 128 to plus 127. And third primitive data type, we have something called as floating point. It is floating point. So when we are defining a floating point, we will define it as float, and the float is going to carry 4 bytes, and range of float is going to be something around plus or minus, it is plus or minus 3.4, sorry, it is 3.4 into 10 to the power of minus 38. So into 10 to the power of minus 38 to, again, plus or minus 3.4 into 10 to the power of plus 38. So this is going to be the range of floating point values. And next one, fourth one, it is double precision data. Okay, it is double precision. So when we are defining it, we will define it with the keyword double, and double is going to carry 8 bytes. Okay, so it is going to carry double, then it is doubling the float values. It is double float, it is actually. So it is going to start from plus or minus 1.7 into 10 to the power of minus 308 into 10 to the power of minus 308 it is. All right. 2, again plus or minus 1.7 into 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 308. It is plus 308. And the fifth one in primitive data type is void. Being we know void is something which is nothing, right? So void is not going to carry uh, any size. So when we are defining, we will call it with void keyword, and it doesn't have any value. So there is no value range for void it is. Okay, so the next one we have derived data type. So derived data types are data types which is derived from the primitive data type. So before entering into derived data type, there is something called as modifiers. There is something called as modifiers, which is from through which we can modify the size and features of primitive data type. Okay, so the first modifier what we have is, so modifier one, what we have is it is signed. So when you say signed, it you can store only signed data, that is both positive and negative numbers. Okay, when you say there is unsigned, you can store only positive data, that is data which with plus signature it is, right? So next one we have something called a short, where we can reduce the size by half of primitive data type, and something we call it as long, where we can increase the size by double using this long modifier. Okay, so we can use this with like signed integers, such like when we are defining, we can define like signed int. When I say signed int, I can store both positive and negative number. When I say unsigned int, I can store only positive numbers. When I say short int, I can store only the value of maximum up to 2 bytes. And when I say long int, I can store value up to 8 bytes it is. Okay, hope you understood what is modifier is. So let us move into the next one. We have derived data types, right? So when we are into derived data types, there are nearly 5 derived data types in C programming. The first one, what we are going to see is array. So we know array is a collection of similar data types, right? So array is collection of similar data type values, collection of values of similar data type stored in a continuous memory, it is, right? Stored in contiguous memory, right? So when we are defining array, we will define it with a length, okay, because it is going to be a collection of data, right? So next one we will see one by one in our future videos. For now, let us see what are only theoretical contents for now. Okay, so second one we have pointer. Pointer is a container. It is again a data type where we are going to store the address of another variable. Okay, pointer is a data type which is going to store the address of another variable, it is, right? So third one, we have something called as structure, right? So structure is, it is collection of some data of different data type. Okay, so we know array is collection of similar data type. Structure is collection of data with different data type. Okay, and we have another one We will call it as union. So union is similar to structure, but it shares the memory along the members. Okay. So union is similar to structure, but shares memory along its members. In particularly if we say structure, let's say in structure I have a int variable and I have a float variable, then the size of structure is going to be 4 plus 4 8. Okay, int variable is going to carry 4 bytes and the float variable is going to carry 4 bytes, so size of structure is going to be 8 bytes. When you say union is going to create only 4 bytes of space and it is going to share this memory among all those variables. So there is a difference between structure and union. And there is another one, derived data type, which we call it as functions. There is something called as function. So function is a block of code. It is a block of code that perform a specific task. So we will have a block of code and we will name that code, and whenever we need to execute that block of code, we will call that name. Okay, block of code that performs a specific task it is. So hope you understand what is derived data type is. So we have something called as user defined, right? So we have something called as user defined data type. So in user defined data type, the first one, we have something called as typedef. Typedef is a keyword, okay, where we can give a name for, or we can set our own name for a data type purpose. Okay, so typedef is used to define a new name for an existing data type. For an existing data type. For example, if I need to the let's say for example, um, I'm using keyword typedef and I'm going to give a new name for integer. So instead of calling it as integer, I'm going to use number. So now I can define like number a equal to 5. So number is a data type now. Hope you understood. So next one, we have something called as enum. We have something called as enum. So enum is a set of named integer constants. It is set of named integer constants. So we can have the difference. Let's say we are defining an array, right? So we will call the value of array using index number, but here we will call the index number using values. So that is the difference. So let's say if I need to define an enum, if I need to define an enum, so I can use a keyword enum and I can give a name to my enum and I can define it like it is, say it is Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Okay, so if I need to call a value, I can call using days.sun, then it is going to return me the value 0. Or if I need to give some value, say I need to give value to Sunday as 1, then I can define value to Sunday as 1 here. So this is how we can define the value to our enum value, sorry, integer to our enum value it is. And next one, we have something called as struct. And we have already seen struct somewhere, right? That is structure, collection of different data type. So here also it is group of different data types under one name, structure. So structure is going to be come under both derived and it is collection of different data type, right? So it will come under both derived and user defined data type because we are defining the structure it is. And also if structure comes, union will be also there, right? So union is also same like structure. The only difference is the memory sharing is going to be different between union and structure, right? So hope you understood. So these are the data types what we have in C program, and let us see what are the operators we can use with this data types in our next video. Okay. So bye bye friends.